The climate disaster is affecting every place on Earth, but it's not affecting everywhere in the same way or to the same extent. Among the most vulnerable places are those susceptible to the rising seas. Now that might bring to mind great cities like Miami or Venice, but it's also true of tiny communities like Tangier Island in America's Chesapeake Bay. And the cost to save even small villages like the one on Tangier Island should raise alarm bells about the overall impact of this climate disaster, according to a paper published this week in the journal Frontiers in Climate. In it, two researchers estimated it could cost more than $250 million US to save just a few hundred homes. And policymakers will have to decide soon what to do, because in just 30 years, the island will not be habitable at all. Today, Tangier is home to around 400 permanent residents, and it's said to be the only remaining island fishing community in Virginia. The island's remaining habitable land has an elevation of less than 1 meter above the high tide. That solid ground is broken into 3 chunks, which the paper somewhat optimistically calls ridges. Between the ridges are even lower-lying wetlands crisscrossed by roads that connect the ridges. This precarious situation is made worse by the fact that the Chesapeake Bay is experiencing sea level rise at an unusually high rate, around 1 centimeter every 2 years. Using historical satellite images, the researchers determined that since 1967, the island has lost 62% of its habitable area. Saltwater is so close to the surface that trees cannot survive. 2 of the island's 3 remaining ridges will likely become wetlands by 2035, while the last hangs on for another 15 years. The study investigates 2 possible responses to this situation: raising the island or evacuating its population. Saving this island would require several key actions. The first is reinforcing the existing shoreline to stop further erosion. Next, covering the remaining habitable land with sand to raise it by several meters. Of course, since this area is covered in existing buildings, those buildings would have to be raised up and then placed on the new ground. Finally, the town's infrastructure, such as roads, plumbing, and power lines, will need to be relocated to ensure that they stay above the rising water table. In total, the authors estimate that these actions could cost between $250 and $350 million. That is a lot of money, and a cost that could not be borne by the community alone. The other option, of course, is to basically give up on Tangier Island and help the remaining residents relocate to a new area. But that wouldn't be cheap either. Based on the real-world costs already paid to relocate similar communities, the researchers estimate that the government would need to spend $100 to $200 million. That's up to $500,000 per citizen. And unfortunately, Tangier Island is not alone. A 2019 study estimated that worldwide 230 million people live on land that is less than a meter above sea level. Each community and geography comes with its own unique challenges, so we can't just scale up the estimates from Tangier, but they're probably not that big of an outlier either. And many at-risk communities are low-income, indigenous, minority, or generally unable to bear the costs. There is no easy answer here, but it's a reminder that when it comes to fighting the climate crisis, doing nothing comes with costs of its own. So how about we turn to some more warm, fuzzy news? A paper published October 28th in the journal Scientific Reports helps corroborate the idea that one of the Ice Age's most fearsome predators was capable of looking out for others of its kind. The study focuses on Smilodon, better known as the saber-toothed cat. Smilodon was an apex predator during the Pleistocene, which spanned from 2.6 million years ago to just 10,000 BCE. Understanding social behavior in extinct animals has long been a challenge, especially for species without living relatives. After all, our social inclinations depend on more than just our bones. But in this case, the state of the animal's bones was a pretty big tip-off. The specimen in question is a Smilodon pelvis retrieved from California's La Brea tar pits almost 100 years ago. The right hip socket on this particular bone is badly damaged, which paleontologists have long assumed was the cause of its death. But this new study suggests otherwise. The researchers took the bone and placed it in a CT scanner, and that revealed evidence that this creature was suffering from hip dysplasia, a condition common in modern-day cats and dogs. In hip dysplasia, the hip socket doesn't fully form, allowing the ball of the thigh bone to slip out and dislocate. The key here is that dysplasia is something an animal is born with. It would have made it almost impossible impossible for this creature to hunt for itself, yet the size of its bones and the way they're fused indicate this animal reached adulthood. And the researchers say that is the clue that points to social behavior. Other saber-tooths would have had to protect it, feed it, and stay with it, exactly the sorts of behavior found in social animals. What's more, this doesn't seem to have been a one-off situation. At least 3 other pelvises found at La Brea show possible evidence of dysplasia. Other evidence has suggested that Smilodon young may have been cared for by their mothers for an unusually long time, which could also help explain these results. In any case, it's another example of the unique approach paleontologists have to take when exploring life's ancient past. And it is lovely to discover our surprising similarities with creatures that could not seem more different. Thanks for watching this episode of SciShow. Making these videos would not be possible without the generous support of our patrons. You can get involved, plus score some neat peeks behind the scenes at patreon.com/scishow.